It's finally here, people, the fight that I have been waiting for. Well, one of them. I know most people care about the Natsu fight because it's going to be like a four-way battle between two dragons and two dragon slayers. But the fights that I've been waiting for is the Urza fight and the Loxus fight. The reason why I'm so excited about this fight is because the Urza that we were going to get, I knew it would be the Urza that I wanted, which is the Urza filled with bloodlust. She's very rare, she doesn't show up very often, but what she does, she is brutal, and her fights are always the best. But before we get to that, the start of the chapter, the Lucy fight is officially over, and Loxus snaps out of his mind control, and he immediately feels the pain of his chest, of the slash he got when he blocked it, but he doesn't remember anything that happened while he was under mind control, which is kind of crazy because he showed signs of having consciousness because he did protect Lucy, but apparently that's just a fleeting ghost in the back of your head when you're under Kira's control. So Lux asked Virgo what's going on, and she responds by saying that he was spanking her the entire time because, Jesus, Virgo, that's just who she is. Obviously, Lux says, no, I wasn't. And so he looks around to figure out himself, and he realizes that Lucy's the one who ended up winning the fight, and he congratulates her. Unfortunately, she's unconscious, so she doesn't actually get to hear it, but Lux is proud of her. So we get an update on Natsu and Suzaku, and apparently they've lost track of Ignia. Neither of them could follow his scent for some reason, even though they're dragon slayers, and, well, that's what they do, but it'll probably be explained later, I guess. I don't know. We do get Happy to return because he got separated from Lucy. So, apparently Natsu was perfectly fine with Lucy being off on her own because he thought he was with Happy the entire time, and he figured if Happy was there, then Lucy would be perfectly fine. And Suzaku was like, you have way too much faith in this cat. Like, what is wrong with you? There's no way this thing could protect someone. Okay, here we go. The fight. Yes. Alright, so Urza obviously says, I'm going to take her myself. You two stay out of this. And Gajil and Gray are like, wait, what? No, do you not feel how powerful she is? They compare Misaki to Guildarts, which is insane because only 3 characters have ever been compared to Guildarts in power. 2 of them being these Black Dragon Slayer Knights, and one, of course, being God Serena. Now, unfortunately, God Serena never actually got a chance to fight Guildarts because the one that went up against Guildarts was literally just a magic clone, basically, that was incredibly weak, and Guildarts could just shatter with his magic because he was made of magic, so he just destroyed him. Even Guildarts was kind of disappointed about that fight, which, yeah. Urza was also compared to Loxus, which doesn't surprise me because we all know already she tied with him earlier on in the White Witch arc. Urza says, I'll be enough, and then she transforms into her Blackwing armor. She starts to go towards Misaki, but Misaki swipes her hand, and the both of them just teleport to a pocket dimension, known as the Blue Dimension, where she says, 5 seconds. Now, the Blue Dimension is not water, because they can breathe and talk and be perfectly fine, but it seems to have the consistency of water, in a sense, where Urza can't really move properly, or like her legs have no strength, and there doesn't seem to be an up or a down or a left or a right. So Misaki claims that while in this dimension, she is absolute, and she basically just grabs the dimension, in a sense, and just chucks it at Urza, called a Blue Strike, and it just nails her with everything she's got. She's launched out of the blue dimension and smashes into the ground. Misaki also walks out of the dimension, holds up her hand and says, that's 5 seconds, and Urza just starts to convulse in pain. So the blue dimension is weird, because any time that takes place in the blue dimension is the exact same amount of time that takes place in the regular dimension. Except when it comes to pain, for every second you take damage in the blue dimension, you will receive an hour's worth of damage. So because Urza was beaten for 5 seconds, that means she's now experiencing 5 hours worth of pain and suffering, and just her entire body is just destroyed instantly. Like her armor shatters and everything. So it's not like you actually just feel an hour or 5 hours worth of pain or whatever, how much time you spend comparable. No, you actually take the damage. It is actual physical damage you will take, not just an equivalent pain. Like you will be beaten and cut and just covered in just bruises and blood and just destroyed. Which is exactly what happens to Urza. And so Misaki assumes Urza is now out of the fight. She says, okay, now it's your two's turn. I'm going to take you out. Urza says, wait. I said I would be enough. So Mizuki's surprised, and she goes, okay, fine. Then I'll give you 24 seconds of a beating. That way, it'll be an entire day's worth of suffering. And Urza's like, that's lenient. I've experienced longer than that. When Urza said that, I'm guessing most people thought to themselves Tartarus, where she was tortured constantly for days on end. But it wasn't just that. She was literally a slave when she was a little girl. So she experienced at least a year of her life of just suffering and pain. So yeah, Urza can handle some serious suffering. So Mizuki brings her back to the blue dimension, and she says, only I can come in contact with my enemy here. Basically, what she's saying is no one else can move while in the blue dimension but her. So Mizuki does her blue strike again, but then Urza dodges. And it's a quick dodge, just flashes right off the page. And Mizuki's like, how? That's impossible. You can't do that. You can't move in my world. And apparently, Urza is not moving. What she's doing is she's magically manipulating her armor to move it. And because she's wearing her armor is then pulling her along in the direction she wishes to go. And then Urza uses Heaven's Wheel to cut Mizuki. And this pisses off Mizuki to no end, where she's now offended that someone was able to attack her in her world. Also, I think this is the first time Heaven's Wheels ever actually did damage to a main boss character. Like, usually Urza uses it against fodder because it launches off a dozen or so swords, or as many as she really wants, to basically take out as many of the enemy as possible. It's the first time I've ever actually seen it used against a boss. Which is cool because it really shows off just how great of a swordsman Urza is. Most people would find it difficult to fight with 2 swords, let alone 10 or 20. So yeah, it's really cool to see that. So Mizuki has never taken damage in her own dimension. So does the same rule apply to her? So if they beat the hell out of each other and then leave the dimension, will the two of them just fucking explode with blood all over? Like, they just be ripped to shreds by the amount of time they spent in the other dimension? Urza defeats her inside the blue dimension, does it automatically cancel out her magic? Both are possible, but you never know. My guess is, based on how the story's been going, it's probably the first one. They're probably both going to just leave and then just fucking explode, both of them. Just rendered in blood. But yeah, that's the chapter, and I can't wait for the conclusion of this fight in 2 weeks. This is going to be great. Hopefully we'll get back to the Loxus fight at some point, but that can wait. For now, let's just enjoy Urza going completely crazy. But yeah, if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, give a thumbs up for more videos on Fairy Tail and other anime things. Thank you, and have a great day.